So real quick, I just wanted to point out that I think that the recent chapter of Dandandan might be leaning towards that tulpa theory or that Okuran not being like a real person thing. And the reason I say that is because of the introduction of the curses based on fairy tales, primarily in that one of them is Pinocchio. And I do think that some of the tulpa theory stuff kind of would line up with the curse of Pinocchio being upon Ocaron, which I know you would think, well, didn't Saint Germain try to take his powers already and Ocaron admitted defeat? But if Ocaron is not real and it's instead Pinocchio himself, then it's less of I'm giving over my powers, but instead handing over the existence, and the very perception of power may influence the ability to hand it over. Obviously, Momo didn't even know her power was supposed to be known as Alice in Wonderland, but this could also obviously just be Saint Germain grifting this guy. But I do think it's worth noting that the Umbusman power was actually the Little Mermaid power, and so if the powers all have different names than what they're associated with, then when Momo was hugging Ocaron and we saw the Ogre Club, shoot the energy beam. Originally, obviously, you would think it was possibly like a phallic joke, but that could, in fact, just be a red herring for the fact that it is poking Pinocchio's nose, extending, which would allow Ocaron to be like fake or not real, which would explain why like those tulpa clues seem to line up and why Ken Takakura, the perfect name, just landed on him. Like it's almost like he's not necessarily a full blown tulpa, but he is like partially reflective of Momo's desires or who she really is as a person, maybe. If that's the case, though, obviously, then Don Don is probably going to have a pretty depressing ending as far as like the romance department goes for those two. But he could also just become a real boy, and like that could be the whole crux of the story. Because again, we've gotten like no real discussion on his family or anything like that. So yeah, there's a chance that Ocaron is Pinocchio, and he's on his journey to be a real boy. Let me know.